If more of you supported the show, I'd be less sick of podcasts.
Blah, 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 blah.
Sending out good vibes.
Blah, blah, blah.
Good vibes.
Blah,
Good vibes.
blah, blah.
Good vibes. Good vibes.
108 breaths of deep gratitude and prayers for guidance and protection. And put on a didgeridoo and shamanic drumming track. Shivers or vibrations and stuff like that.
Okay, guys, welcome back to the Grimerica Show. Coming at you this week with Steve Rother, who I'd never really heard of before this, but it turns out is quite a big name, I guess, for quite a while in some of these different circles. So I didn't realize that. Did you? Did you know that going in?
I still didn't know that at the end, coming out of it, even.
Well, he said he's been doing whatever he's been doing full time as a job for decades. So that's like a long time to be just channeling books. I mean, you need a decent following.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
But it's an interesting chat. It's a good one. People want to skip ahead. There's a timestamp in the show notes if they want to skip our lazy ramblings. But everybody's favorite podcaster, Grandma Ding Long Dunlop over here. Who, I assume that makes you a big deal. If you've been doing it for decades, you can make a living off it.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I do understand what you mean now. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. I mean, I am surprised we didn't cross paths with him already.
It's crazy. That's kind of my point. It seems crazy that we haven't bumped into each other before in 12 years of podcast. 12 and a half, I guess. 12 and a half. So,
yeah.
That's a good time. It's a crazy weekend of hunting over here. Just been nonstop. Fucking nonstop. Bagged.
Yeah, me too.
You painting?
Painting the house, yeah. Well, actually, I'm not painting it. I'm just sanding it and washing it and prepping it, doing all the
Not overhead sanding, though?
Not overhead sanding. Yeah, that's all done. Thank God. Yeah.
That was a weird one.
Yeah.
That sucks doing that kind of shit.
Yeah. But I got to stay physical. So it's good. I mean, it is getting me out and getting me, exercising and working and stuff. But I mean, I'm excited because I got that storage container moved from the yard. So the shed is fully moved, like all my stuff. I've got the garage, like.
Oh, you got the car moving?
The what?
You got the car running?
No, I got it. But I got it charged enough with a charger to just put it in neutral and move it around, physically move it.
So the battery must be toast.
Well, we charged it and it seemed to be taking a charge.
Oh, did it?
All the way up, and then it wouldn't start. It still wouldn't start. Just click, click. And then it drained. So I don't know. Something's going on.
Probably the battery's got to be toast.
But it's a new battery too.
A new battery?
Yeah. Before, I mean, it's not like new, like it's a couple years old. Like it was new to the car, but the car hasn't run in a year.
Well, I'm sure somebody listening knows how to deal with that.
Don't even email about it. It's all good. I've already moved it. The car, it's one of these cars, the engine's blowing in it. I just got to figure out what to do with it. It's not my car, right?
The engine's blown, so it's garbage?
Well, it hasn't blown yet, but you know what? It's one of these things where the car looks beautiful. It's a Buick Verano. It's a pretty cool looking car. It's 2013. It should be lasting a long time, but something about the timing chain casing was plastic, or it's something that is inherent in this model of engine, I think.
Lemon. And
then it ends up getting into the timing chain starts. What does it say? It starts fraying or something's going on with the timing chain. Then it gets in the engine, and then they basically say, yeah, it's probably gonna be toast in a matter of time. So we recommend a new engine. And it's like, what? Like, it's hard to believe that that's the only solution these days for these cars.
That's not a warranty thing?
No, it's all past all that.
I got to, or like a recall. Hey, we put in an engine that doesn't work.
No, I know. It lasts for 100 or 200,000 or whatever it is, and then it just craps out. Like these timing chain things are an issue.
That's why you got to go old, buddy.
I
I got to
know.
do an oil change on mine tomorrow morning.
Oh yeah. Why?
It's just due.
You've gone that far on it already? How often do you do your oil changes?
Every 5,000 miles.
I always thought that was just like that was
It's a lot more
the
important.
best before date. That's a scam.
No. Well, so if on the gas vehicles, I'd go 20,000 without changing it. Sort of do it once a year, but the diesels are really using that oil. So my understanding is it's extremely important to keep your oil changes pretty regular on a diesel.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it turns like black right away. Like within
okay.
like you check your oil after a week and it's fucking black.
Wow.
So I keep it changed. I mean, it's a good motor, good truck. It's cheap, right? It's like if I buy 2 jugs of oil, it's like $200 and that'll give me 3 oil changes. And then the filter's like $12 and it takes like half an hour.
Yeah.
Half an hour, just drain it and fill it back up and change the filter. It's really nothing to it. So the lights car I'll take in just because it's a pain to get underneath. That's sort of where it was. I think I put it on ramps and crawl under there, and it's like, pass. My truck, I can just roll underneath there. There's tons of room. It's no problem. So I'll do that tomorrow. I mean, it's crazy that I put that many miles on it already, honestly.
How many? 5,000.
I've already did one, so I've probably put on 7,000 miles, which is what, like 10 or 11,000 kilometers already in like 6 months. Been about 6 months, not even 5 months, 4 maybe. A lot of hunting though, and then I don't know where I put it on all the other ones. Honestly, I don't know how it got up that high that quickly. I guess it's the fishing and the hunting. I mean, every time I go fishing, it's like 400, or
Exactly.
every time I go hunting. I mean, even when drive Madison to her lessons, it's only 15 minutes, but in Alberta, 15 minutes is like 45 kilometers. 50, it's like all the way around the lake. So it stacks up. I don't worry about it too much. I don't care. That's the major difference between this truck and my old truck. My old truck, I was always concerned about the kilometers. I didn't like adjust my driving to it, but when you buy a brand new truck with 0 kilometers on it, and then it's like at 120 in like 2 years, it's like, holy fuck, man, this thing's gonna barely last, because then they don't last as long as they used to. So now this one's like, whatever. I don't even care about the miles. I know it's gonna go up to 700,000-800,000, and it's at 250,000 now. So it's like, who cares? Who cares? So I was out hunting Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Wild weekend. I was going to take Monday off actually because I was pretty tired. The days are still pretty long is the thing.
Did you get a bow? Did you get anything with the bow or?
Didn't get anything with the bow. We got pretty close to an elk on Friday night. I think it was Friday night. We went out and walked in and found an elk within probably an hour. Found one. I forgot my call in the truck, so I couldn't call it. But we watched it walk off into a little brush, and we were able to predict where we had a decent wind. We were able to predict where we walked around and found a road that it would have had to walk across to get to this water. So we had to like backtrack a few miles, come back around, and we're able to be sitting right there waiting when this thing came out of the bush, almost exactly where we expected it to, but about 100 yards farther or 60 yards farther than I needed to be with the bow. And if I would have had my calls on me, I probably could have got him to come in those extra few yards, but I had forgot them in the truck. So I wasn't really expecting it was the first time out of the season with the bow. I was expecting to sort of just go put some miles on, find some animals, maybe start making a plan.
So you didn't have like someone with a gun with you that could have got it.
We had miles with the gun, but it's early days to be giving up on the bow already, And I got the boys coming.
What do you mean early? What do you mean by that? Early?
Well, I already shot one elk, so I don't want to just keep shooting elk. I got to shoot hunting to do when the guys are here. So right now,
I see. Because it's just because that turns like then you have to turn your hunt into a.
Now I'm cleaning an elk, and I can only have so many elk, right? So if I want to get an elk with the bow, I got to get it.
Why you can
I've only
only
got so much room.
room wise, not tag wise, room wise.
Yeah, but there's just a responsible amount of meat that's okay. I mean, I need about 400 pounds a year, and Miles needs about 2, so we need about 600 pounds. Get about 150 off an elk, and a little more off a moose, but plus there's some ducks in there and some antelope in there. I do need another elk and a moose, or maybe 2 elk. But right now is kind of, I've got September, or at least until the guys get here, is my time to, the rut is on. So the only time you can bow hunt really effectively for elk or antelope is during the rut, which is just starting right now. When I was out on Friday, they weren't rutting yet. They're sort of getting there. They're chirping a little bit. I didn't hear any bugles yet, but they're
Did it
chirping.
ever did it ever cross your mind to just do a bugle with your mouth just to try like without the collar?
I don't think you could do it. I mean, they're able to move so much air through their lungs, and they've got this sort of reed system that I'm using designed in there to do that sort of thing. So it's like the bow hunting is really dependent on the rut. It really is. I mean, you can sneak up on some stuff while it's sleeping sometimes, but it's a lot easier when they're coming to calls, or the antelope come into the decoys. So you got about 3 weeks or a month. You basically got September with your bow, and then that's about it. The deer rut is a little later.
How did the cameras work out? Your whole audio video setup.
I haven't got working yet for the elk hunting. I think when we went duck hunting on Monday, we finally figured out that it's best to just put them on the hats and be done with it. Trying to put them on a gun didn't work. I do have one on my bow that I keep on right on the stabilizer, but that's the only time that's ever going to get, because I don't walk around with my bow like this. So the only time that camera's ever going to get any decent footage is on the actual kill shot. But so we've tried a couple different things, and I think finally, like, I had the camera on my gun the whole time I went grouse hunting and partridge hunting on Sunday, and I shot 4 birds. But it was like every time, so you'll see the video where you see the bird, and then the second I pull the trigger on the shotgun, it's like the shotgun recoiled, but the camera didn't. Then the camera just shoots up and starts pointing at the sky instead.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, and then so when we went duck hunting, I tried to put a gun on the shotgun again, and I tightened the shit out of it so that it wouldn't swivel, and it worked. It worked for like 3 shots, and then the camera broke off and fell in the water. Luckily, it was in the waterproof case, so it wasn't a big deal. But I think the duck hunting kind of worked out. It's a little choppy from the head cams. We don't have I've got like my 4K handy cam. I forgot the tripod for it, because our plan was to have a sort of off cam catching some of the stuff. So we'd have the third one plus 2 head cams.
Yeah, but that's when you get into then you have to do this whole setup thing and all that, right? Which is
It's easy. I mean, when we're duck hunting, we're setting up so much stuff anyway. And the good beauty about duck hunting compared to everything else is we're in one spot. That's the only type of hunting we do where we really stay put, because I'm not a blind hunter. I don't go in tree stands. I'm not interested. I own a blind. So I might set it up if I can't call in an antelope by like the last week of the rut, by the end of the month, maybe when the guys are here even, then I might set up a blind on the watering hole and just wait for one to come and take a drink. But I'd rather get it while it's I can call it in. There's something cool about calling them in.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Anyway, all that
Didn't you find it? Didn't you stumble across an old blind or something?
I found an old tree stand. An old steel one, probably like 20. My buddy might still use it all the time, but it's been out there a minute. I just walk by it. I mean, I'm not a stand hunter. I'm not fucking interested in climbing up in a stand and waiting for animals to walk by. That's just not my thing. I like to stalk them. I like to move around. I like to find them and make a plan. I like to hunt like a predator, or more like a predator, I'm not an ambush predator. I'm more of a stalking predator, I guess. Because I enjoy that a lot more. And then when you're grouse hunting, you're always moving around too. All the hunting, we're moving like crazy. We do 20, 30 kilometers a day. I think I walked 60 kilometers almost in the Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Man, it's got to keep people in shape. The hunters in shape.
I can feel it already. I can already, compared to like the first time I went out and it was like a total death march. It's already like, dude, we could go do all what we just did again. No problem. You really feel I'm going to use the hunting to like springboard because now I'm going to start working out again too. But I really find I'm in the best shape in the middle of hunting season when I'm walking 50 miles a week. So, but duck hunting, once everything's set up, we don't really move. We just stay there for the day and call in ducks and shoot them and then take everything down and go home. So the duck hunting is actually, believe it or not, the one that is sort of the best for the handicap because I can just take it 50 yards away, put it on a tripod, set it there so it's capturing everything and just leave it there. Whereas everything else, we're constantly moving. So the handycam becomes a bit of an issue. The head cams work, but they're a little jerky. You know how it is. Like every time I look someplace, the camera, that's a lot for the camera, you know, it's different watching your head move around when it's not yours. It seems faster. Even when I'm watching it when it was my head cam, it seems like everything seems a little jerkier than it does.
So, I mean, that would be one reason for me maybe to come out is just to strictly not even worry about the guns and the hunting, just tape you completely.
Just be the cameraman. Yeah.
The cameraman, yeah.
That'll be the ultimate sort of change. Will be the cameraman eventually. Is that's what you need to really make quality content? At least one, and then maybe more eventually. If you're,
and then you've got a mix of the whole that view of you guys, but then also your own sort of.
Yeah, and because the other beauty thing about the Handycam is it hooks those cool mics up to it, so it gets all the. I haven't figured out a way to hook them things up to the GoPro yet. I'm sure I can. But then you just get sort of better audio. The audio is almost unusable from the GoPros. It's really sharp and it's not really made for it. So if it's in the case, it's very muffled and you can barely hear it. But I mean, we got some good cool shots of. I mean, I think we got most of the birds we shot on Monday on film, just from the head cam. The head cam seems to work the best for that. But I think what you'd want is mostly the handycam footage whenever you can that is supplemented with because if you stay on that for too long it does get kind of jerky. I was reading a thing that says it's because like your eyes automatically blur out the sides. That's why it doesn't seem jerky to you when you're moving your head around and you've got sort of 180 degrees, whereas on the video it's this little square and it's 4K or high def right out to the edge, so you've got a real sharp edge moving around all the time. But we'll see how it turns out. It was fun. We shot a bunch of birds. We shot like a dozen birds. Took the boat out with Jesse's crazy mud motor. That whole lake, that whole San Francisco lake. Oh, I shouldn't have said the name of the lake. God damn it. That whole lake is not deeper than 2 feet anywhere.
Wow.
Yeah, so this is the first year we got a mud motor, so we can go out there with the boat and not have to paddle it.
How many people can fit in the boat?
We could fit 3, but 2 is best. 2 is best. It was just me and Jesse, so everyone's got a lot of room. We can make coffee in there. Yeah,
How long does it take you to get where you want to go?
What's that?
How long does it take you to get to where you want to go?
In the boat?
Yeah.
Minutes, like 10 minutes maybe to go anywhere on the lake. The boat clips. It clips along pretty good for a little mud motor. It's not it's just we're hunting swamps, mostly sloughs. So it wasn't too bad. I mean, the beauty about that is like when you field hunt, it's nice because you're not in the swamp. But now you got to just drag all the gear out there. And you're dragging out a couple hundred decoys, a bunch of blinds, guns, ammo, whatever fucking else you want, right? Some water probably. If you're out there all morning, you might want some coffee. You might want some food. So you end up doing at least 2 trips and you want to park the trucks. The snow geese are fucking smart. So you never want to we don't even drive in the field because you don't want road tracks going out to where you're hunting. So you drag all that gear, man. You drag it all in fucking sleds. Like
that's why these outfitters that are staying in town, there's a bunch of I can tell now every hunting season, these outfitters come and they rent to one of the big houses on the corner down the street.
Yeah.
They all have their massive trailers, right?
Yeah, that's all.
They're actually outfitters, but they all have massive trailers. I'm assuming
decoys and blinds. So a lot of those guys, if they're they might be driving them out in the field. I don't know. I mean, I have seen where the trailer but they never drive the trailer right to where you're hunting. They'll drive the trailer to, a mile away from where you're hunting. So now you're going to drag fucking 500 pounds of shit over there in a couple trips. So you got to it's a fucking slog sometimes. I mean, even duck hunting can turn into a death march. it's not the end of the world. But then you go out there and you shoot 100 geese and ducks, and now you got all that shit. I mean, I'm not complaining. I love it. It's fun. I'm just saying some people don't like to hunt the lakes because it's a pain. You're in the waders, you're in the swamp. I love it to some extent. It does get old, especially when it starts to get colder. Walking in the fucking mud sucks. When you're like walking in 1.5 feet of water and there's mud, so your foot's sinking like 6 inches every step. It's a good workout. I feel like it works out some muscles you don't usually work walking because you're always fighting to get your foot back. But the beauty is you just show up, pile all the shit into the boat, drive the boat out to where you're going, and then set it up. So there's no manually carrying everything around when you're in the lake. We just have it all in the boat. Kind of hard to do the coffee maker and stuff like that when you're not in the boat. Because you're just like lying. I mean, when we're in the field, you're literally lying. You're either in the bale blind, which is a little better, but most of the time you're lying on the ground in a lay down blind. So they're both fun. They both have their pains in the ass. The swamp can get buggy sometimes.
It's kind of fascinating I don't know about all the details of all the different types, but each type of hunt kind of has its own sort of process. And
yeah, it's completely different. I mean, I know a ton of guys that don't cross. Actually, that's not true. Most guys that are duck hunting are also hunting other stuff, but most hunters are not duck hunting.
Yeah,
at least not here. I mean, in Alberta, you got to head east a little. You got to like where I am is sort of the fucking edge of where you're going to get ducks. You got to be where I am or east. To where you are Saskatchewan is the best in the world. That's the top of the world because it's all three migrating paths converge over Saskatchewan.
wow.
So, but a lot of guys, I mean, I've got a couple buddies that I got into ducks kicking and screaming. I mean, I got into ducks kicking and screaming. My buddy Joe was like, come duck hunting. I'm like, what the fuck do I want to go shoot ducks for, man? That sounds fucking sitting in the swamp. All that shit sounds not fucking fun. But lo and behold, it turns out to be awesome. So, because you're just blasting ducks all day, you're calling them in, you're decoying them in. It really is a rush, a different sort of rush. It's easy to kill a duck. It's easy to kill an elk too, but there's a lot more sort of reverence there. I feel like there's not millions and millions of elk running around. They're starting to borderline an invasive species in some parts of Alberta, but ducks are fucking killing it. You know what I mean? Like ducks and deer are killing it at a level that they weren't killing it even when there was no people here. Especially ducks and snow geese and Canadian geese are thriving because before they used to have to go into the grass and like really fight for food. Now you could not support the size of the flocks of geese I see without modern day farming, where 5,000 birds can just go down in a farm field and there's tons of wheat left over and there's just tons of everything all over that they can eat. Whereas, 1,000 years ago, fucking, that was a lot harder over here. I would argue there was probably 10% of the goose population just because you couldn't have a flock of 5,000 land in native prairie and find food. Most of them are going to starve to death.
Huh.
I mean, snow geese, the limit is 50 in a day. So that's how they just want these. So all that to say, there's just less of a social contract, I guess, to killing a duck. So it's fun to just go out and blast them all day. Whereas elk is a little more reverence. There's a little more reverence there. It's still fun. It's still great. I still like to do it. But you wouldn't want to go out and shoot 10 elk in a day. That wouldn't feel good.
Yeah.
You'd feel like a piece of shit. Go shoot 10 ducks in a day. You feel pretty great. You want to go do it again the next day.
Yeah, that makes sense. It makes sense to me. Yeah.
So it's good. I mean, we got close to an elk on Friday. We got close to some antelope Saturday sucked because I had a little shard incident. So I had to go bare balls for most of the day.
When on Saturday?
As soon as we got out to the hunt.
Oh, that sucks. Wow.
Yeah. So I had to ditch my drawers, go hunt bare balls.
Chafing afterwards.
It's never the best. Luckily, I have high-end pants, so it's a little better. But it's a fucking, I don't know what happened there. Too much back stuff, I guess. Anyway.
Too much what?
I think it's got something to do with my back being fucked up for a while.
No, I think it's the coffee. Did you have a different coffee that day? Like
I had shitty
extra
coffee.
dark?
Shitty coffee.
Oh, maybe that was it.
Yeah. I didn't have my
You
good.
know, did you know it was going to happen? Or I mean, obviously not, or you wouldn't have done
No,
it.
it
But
wouldn't happen if you know it's going to happen. It caught me completely by surprise.
I guess what I meant is like, was it a mistaken fart? You know, like
Yeah, that's
was
what it
the
was. A
fart even a
mistaken fart. Yeah,
what?
yeah. It was a blooper.
No, what I mean is did you know you were going to fart?
Oh no, I didn't know that either.
You didn't know that either. Oh, see, that's what I mean. That's holy wow. That's man, you better get that stuff, get that checked out.
Well, I was moving too. Yeah, so it's like going from being jacked up in the truck with my fucked up back to like going straight again, and everything just lets loose, I guess.
Oh my god.
And some Robaxacet in there, and fucking, it's a recipe for disaster.
Did you have some Robaxacet going on at the time?
Always, yeah. When I go hunting, I usually take one.
Oh my god, maybe
At
that's
least this week. Now it's feeling good. It's feeling like I figured out it was those hip flexors, I think, that were causing me the most problems. So now once I figured out how to stretch those out a little bit, helped out a fair bit.
lie on your back, pull your knee up, your leg up with your knee up, kind of, and pull
No,
back.
that don't do it. You know what you got to do is I got to like take an office chair and put one knee straight down on the ground in front of the office chair with your foot up behind you and hooked on the office chair. And then your other leg out in front of you, and it pulls right on that muscle right there. That's the first time I've ever found a stretch that stretched it. That seems to make a big difference, like a huge difference. And now I can even notice that when it comes and it's getting tight and bugging me, I can do that stretch and it'll offer some relief to the point where I'm ready to start doing some sit-ups, which I think will ultimately tighten all that up so it doesn't happen again, hopefully. I can't have it. I don't have time for that kind of shit right now. But Saturday, it's fairly uneventful. I think I got to about 60 yards on some lopes, but they're not quite rutting hard yet. Probably by Monday, I think. When's the new moon?
Well, I mean, the full moon was just yesterday, so
Yeah, so that's
Sunday night. What's today? Tuesday already?
yeah, probably a week
Around
after.
a week late. I mean, a day late. This episode, yeah. So it'll be in a week or 10 days, I guess, right?
Yeah, I'm thinking it's probably a week after the full moon, the rut will kick in.
Yeah. Wow.
That's been good. People can come hunting if they want. I'm going to entertain things for one more week, and then after that, it'll be too late. So if you want to come hunting, you got one more week to jump on the bandwagon. Boys get here 2 weeks tomorrow, and then we get to it. I might take him fishing too. I haven't decided yet. I don't think Tony's been in a boat before. He probably has been in like some bigger boats, but like a personal boat, is that a thing in the UK? Could you go boating?
Oh, yeah.
Can citizens just
I went
go,
water skiing in the UK.
on a lake?
No, on the ocean, I think.
On the ocean?
Yeah.
Interesting. Was it
I had
choppy?
a broken arm at the time, so it wasn't a good idea. I shouldn't have done it. I had a cast on my arm, and yeah, it wasn't good.
Ocean water skiing?
Ocean water skiing, yeah.
No lakes though?
Oh yeah, they have lakes too, but I mean, probably not a lot compared to.
Probably not a lot. Probably not a lot.
I
Anyway.
mean, Scotland's got. I mean, Tony was just at a lake there.
Yeah, that was in Scotland. Lock something.
Lock something.
Lock something. I mean, Tony's doing pack training. The dude's doing pack training right now to get ready for the hunting season.
Yeah, he should consider you just walk like 60K. Yeah, whoever's coming hunting with Darren, you better start hoofing it around. Start going for walks.
Be prepared to walk. Yeah, there's going to be some walking. I think both of them are sort of anticipating that. I think Tony gave him the heads up that he's like, dude, I'm telling you, this is good. Because Tony came once, right? He came, got off, landed at like 9 p.m. I picked him up, and we got up at 3 a.m, and we're on the base hunting elk. Like by 9, we're hunting elk like crazy. And by 5 p.m. that night, before he's even been in the country 24 hours, there's 2 dead elk getting gut out. And we've got to transport this meat 5 kilometers back to the truck. I have a picture of him. I have a picture of him in the back of the truck looking like a strung out fucking crack addict with his
I've done it. I mean, it gets to the point where you're like, oh my God, I don't know how long I can walk with this thing anymore.
But you just keep digging deeper.
Yeah.
I haven't dropped off yet. There's not really an option. It's like, what are you going to do? Lie in the snow and wait for help? Not going to happen. Anyway, come on the trip, support the show. GrayAmerica.ca/support if you can. When you can, that is how, we're trying to do this thing over here. We need more supporters like you, and big thanks to the ones we got. I mean, we do have some great supporters that if it weren't for them, the show wouldn't exist. So you thank them and become one of them at GrayAmerica.ca/support today. If you are getting some value from our little podcast here, send some value back our way. GrayAmerica.ca/support. You can sign up for monthly. You can make a one-time donation. Whatever you got to do, you can do it. And check it out. And it helps us. And then we got some great books coming out on audio too. We got some the good ones coming out on audio. We had some great ones come out lately. I think Orthodox and Heretic should both come out this week.
Yeah, but they're on Adult Brain already, though. Adult Brain.
They're on Adult Brain already. Yeah, there should.
Yeah, those are both Chesterton books, Heretics and Orthodoxy. They're that great reads. Orthodoxy was amazing.
And then the other one that's going to be a banger. I'm almost done reading it. I got like 2 chapters left. I'll probably finish tomorrow morning. Is the Adam and Eve and the Great Reset? How an ancient cataclysm was silenced for 50 years, which was a great read. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. It's a fun read because I find that I know the subject matter pretty well, so I'm able to follow along well, and it's been good. So people can watch for that coming out soon. I think the book's available now by Jonathan Pike that we published through Adult Brain. So
I was thinking we should do an episode on that. I thought because you were doing a sort of a semi-presentation with one of our outlawed guests. I'm trying to remember who it was now. And I was like, we should just do a whole episode, you and I, on that. I can't remember what it was. I think you had some maps. It was probably when we were looking at the UK maps and stuff with the ice
sheets. It was probably the ice sheets.
Yeah.
And London being outside of the ice sheets.
Yeah.
Yeah, that might have been it. Who was that?
Chris Cottrell, maybe?
I'm just fixing to get into some of that, the Hyperborea stuff, which I'd never even heard of until we had Macintosh on, but that's a whole new can of worms.
Oh, yeah, I love it. For some reason, that whole thing really resonates with me.
I mean, I'm through the part of the Adam and Eve story that the CIA released. I'm already through all that, which I had listened to before on YouTube, but I mean, it's pretty fucking crazy that this guy wrote this in the 60s. I mean, it's just like almost correlates fucking perfectly with a lot of the stuff that's coming out right now. And it also sort of like it puts in the 2 cycles again, right? Because it says that Noah's flood happened 6,500 years ago, but the Adam and Eve from the Bible were after the Younger Dryas event. So that's when the Bible starts.
That's really interesting. So it's between cataclysms. So that's almost why they're like
cataclysms. He says there's a bunch of other cataclysms, but he says the reason that this is all messed up is because Adam and Eve is the first cataclysm. And then the second cataclysm is Noah's cataclysm.
And then now we're at the point where we're at that cycle again right now.
It seems like we'd be close, but honestly, if you go by the math, I mean,
1,000 years, or
we either have another 1,000 or we're past due, because it sort of jumps around a little bit. So
there's multiple cycles going on.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to know because it's not. I don't have the numbers in front of me right now, but it's not like every 6,000 years exactly, right? It was like after 12, the one before that was at like 27 or something like that. But it goes back to all these different ones up to, I think, 40,000 years ago. Or
yeah, and Douglas Vought's cycle is different than the Great.
Now, the problem is they did seem to be accelerating. But 6,500, because from 11,500 to 65 is 5,000, but now we've gone 6,500. Assuming there was because you got to assume if there was a cataclysm. I mean,
what about it between the Bronze Age collapse and us? Was that the
cataclysm? Like, does does year one start after a cataclysm?
Was the Noah flood the Bronze Age collapse?
The Noah flood was supposedly 6,500 years ago. And I guess you put the younger Christ was 12,800 years ago. So I guess it is almost bang on 6,500. If you looked at it that way. But the one before that was longer. It wasn't like I was looking to see if it was like a set cycle. It wasn't.
Oh, the Bronze Age collapse was way after that, 1250 to 1150 BCE.
But that's kind of what I was going to say. Is like, unless something happened in the last 1,500 to 2,500 years, which is something we've entertained on the show, it's like, did someone steal this bitch more recently than we think? Like between Rome and now, was that why Rome is buried under all this crap? Because it was a cataclysm at the fall of the Roman Empire, and that's when they started the calendar, and that's when they restarted history. It's tough to rule out. The problem is that none of the geological evidence seems to point in that direction. It would have had to get cleaned up awful quick, right? Like we can still see all this stuff in the scam line, unless that's from then too. I mean, maybe that's only fucking 2,000 years old. You'd have a hard time proving it was older, right? But that would mean that all that ice sheet melted in 2,000 years and instead of 10,000. Interesting. Anyway, that's all I got on that right now. I am actively digging into it though, because I got to do this presentation for the Serpent Mound Festival, the Solstice Festival at Serpent Mound, and it's going to be about that. So,
oh, cool, that'll be great.
I mean, it's kind of got to be, right. I've been digging into it all over the place. I've spent all this time in the field with Randall, and I've always kind of. I've never been all in on the comet impact. It doesn't fill all the boxes for me.
No, but it could be one of the cycles, though, right? I mean,
it could be what causes the shift. Could be something that moves the crust around too. I mean, if a comet hit the ice sheet that already wants to go towards the equator and it was angled in that direction, because if you just spin a ball, the heaviest sides are always going to want to be on the sides that are on the equator. You know what I mean? Like if you just spin something, the heavy is always going to go to the outside. The centrifugal force is always going to take the heavy thing to the outside. And we just have the opposite of that, where we have giant ice sheets on the top and bottom that are stuck at the top and bottom. So if an impact hit Antarctica, like right now on an angle, would it knock Antarctica where it's trying to go to, it wants to go to the equator anyway? So how much help does it need? It gets all into all this weird stuff about how it's the same stuff Ben Davidson was saying. I mean, a lot of Ben's stuff is right in Chan Thomas's stuff, whereas solar outburst causes the viscosity of the upper layer of the mantle to become more viscous so it can move. It's in a hard plastic state because of blah, 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 but it can become more liquid, I guess, at a moment's notice. So we'll see. I mean, the AI is sure fun to play with on some of this stuff.
Well, either way, I mean, our last Outlawed, we talked about some correlations between the UAPs and the breakaway civilization and this.
Did you see the video of the missile?
This physical collapse. There's a lot of important people, high level people talking about this cyclical reset. So it's out there. It's coming.
Oh, on the last roundup, right?
Yeah. So check out our last Grimerica Outlawed roundup. We talked about all this. What were you saying, Darren? Did I see what? The missile? What?
Well, they released some video today, I guess, of a UFO splitting a Hellfire missile in two.
Oh, you know what's funny is I
haven't dug into it yet, but it looks like maybe they shot the missile at the UFO, and when it hit it, it just split into two pieces.
Well, the guy I read about the breakaway civilization, Jason Reza Georgiani's post in last night's episode. Yeah, he's the one that just posted it. I actually had just bookmarked it for the next roundup. And he says, I suspect that this is a demonstration of breakaway American capabilities, which is what we were talking about last night, to foreign adversaries ahead of a potential third world war. The U.S. government adopted the policy of not shooting at actual UFOs decades ago. And then the post says the exact moment a UFO deflects a Hellfire missile filmed by an MQ-9 drone, October 30th, 2024. Video was shown for the first time today in front of Congress.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It was a congressional thing.
Wow.
Crazy.
Yeah. So I do have an email from a listener, supporter. I used to do the monthly donation, but I got dropped by my PayPal years ago. I listened to both podcasts and will always support you guys. That's from Jim. Thanks, Jim.
From Jim?
Yeah.
Jim, fat guy from Missouri, Jim?
I don't know.
Thanks, Jim. I seen Jim's duck spread the other day.
Nice.
Interesting. Yeah, it's 'tis the season. It's crazy to think that you'd be hunting ducks right now that far south. I was thinking it was hot and my waiter's up here. It's gonna be crazy down in some of them places trying to do it. I couldn't imagine. I always think about that when I think it's too hot here to shoot something. I'm like, these motherfuckers do it in Texas and manage to deal with it somehow. So I think I can deal with it.
Exactly. So do we have any other supporters to thank? Or?
Oh boy, you caught me off guard with that.
Well, you're the one that started the segment, so.
Yeah, I know. I forgot to check this week. Everything's a mess. I don't think we do, though. Oh, no, I'm wrong. We do. We have $21 from James Feeney.
Oh, that's the one I just read. Yeah, thanks, James. So he gave us a one-time donation. Thanks, buddy.
Yes. And then we also got one from Chash Heffernan of $100.
Thanks, Josh.
Yeah, and then that is it. So those are our two supporters this week, which is great. I mean, if we could get a few of those every week, we'd be pretty happy. If we could double that, we'd be even happier.
Yeah.
Thanks to all the people on the monthlies as well. We appreciate you. But yeah, do you have a bio?
SteveRother.org. For 27 years, he hosted the Virtual Light broadcast, one of the longest running spiritual live streams online from Vegas to a worldwide audience of light workers. Today, he remains a trusted guide of voice and clarity for a growing global community. His work reminds us of one simple truth: you came here on purpose, and the time to remember that is now. He was for 2 decades, more than 2 decades, he's been featured in the Sedona Journal of Emergence and honored at the UN, where he made history as the first person to teach a channeling class at the UN, presenting 5 times across 2 continents. His books have been translated into 18 languages. Beacons of light messages continue to be distributed globally in multiple languages. So yeah, he's channeling the group of 9.
Group of 9. Been doing it for a while too.
Yeah.
So that's it. We hope you guys enjoy the intro, the lazy ramblings, support the show, and enjoy the chat with Steve Rother.
All right, Steve Rother, thanks for joining us in Grimerica. How are you today?
I'm wonderful. Good to meet you guys. It's
Yeah.
good to be with you.
Yeah, this will be fun. Thanks for joining us.
Absolutely.
I was watching a show with you on it about the group channeling the group. And I thought about some of these older, was it the early 1900s? Maybe there was the Nine. There was a couple people channeling these other groups of people. And I wondered, like, is there any chance that you're channeling? Like, is this a group that's been through different generations of channelers, or has there been any information about that you're like the latest of a long line of channelees or something like that?
That is entirely possible. That is entirely possible. They have told me from the beginning that I'm not the only one that channels the group. There is going to be other people that bring through other things or certain concepts and so forth that won't fit into my brain the way that I've formed it. So they bring it through other people. So basically, it's not an expert at everything, but the group has been. Now, you bring up an interesting subject, because the one person that I did read, I used to be a general contractor, so I grew up in a totally different area. But the one thing that kind of broke me down and opened my mind and heart to different things was reading Ruth Montgomery. And Ruth Montgomery channeled Art, Lily, and the group. And I never put that together before, but that was something I came to the realization of probably a couple of years ago, that she was actually channeling a group of entities as well.
And when was that? When was she channeling?
She was channeling in the 96 areas, 96, 70. She wrote some incredible series of books about walk-ins. She was the one that actually coined the term walk-ins and how that worked in Strangers on Earth and so forth, to be able to talk about that.
Okay.
So, yeah. So anyway, I'm sure that there are other people that channel the group. They have been with me for several lifetimes, apparently, from what they tell me. They call it, I gave them the name The Group by default. I asked them who they were. I wanted some information. I wanted some identification, and they told me they did not wish to give it. They said humans give way too much power to the labels. Yeah. And so forth. They want us to judge the information by the love content of the information and not by the labels. So they never did tell me who they were. I called them The Group.
And
I was the one that
actually, you know how many there were at all?
Yeah, I knew there was multiples. I could almost see them, but every time I tried to count them, it was like they'd go into another room, and I didn't know if I was, it was really confusing. There are 9 of them.
Oh, there are 9. Wow.
Which is exactly what you're talking. Well, and I think the Elohim used to be 8. So they basically say there's 9 in the group. There's 8 of them and 1 of me. So I'm very fortunate to be included in that conversation. I guess.
This has been like were you saying 30 years, coming up 30 years now?
That's correct.
Wow.
30 years I've been channeling. 30 years I've been channeling the group professionally. Before that, I was bringing in things, just awakening and doing things. The internet was brand new back in 1995, and it was all new. We had a chat room with some metaphysical people that were learning to channel. I was one of them. And we all kind of broke up. We were all kind of teaching ourselves how to channel by sharing information from books and so forth. And today, 3 of those people are professional channels still. I'm one of them. Been very blessed. Absolutely. Unbelievable stories about doors that just magically opened and things that took place. My first books were translated into 18 languages. So that opened the door for us to travel. Our publishers wanted us to come to their country and do seminars and do different things. So Barb and I traveled, my wife and I traveled all over the world for 15 years.
Wow.
One country every month.
So
it was amazing.
How did you meet them?
How did I meet the group?
Yeah.
I was dragged along to something. I was not into metaphysics at all. I'm a card carrying drag along is what we call it. But basically my wife was into metaphysics. And we were looking for something to do on New Year's Eve, 1995. I don't drink, so that always puts a kink in what you do for New Year's Eve, because it's usually about drinking. So she said, my group is getting together. Why don't you come and be a part of my group? And I'm going, why? I don't know these people. Do we have to wear special clothes? I didn't know anything about it. And I just said, okay, I'm gonna do my best. I'm gonna support you. I'm going to go to this group, and I'm just going to smile a lot and nod. And that's what I did that night. So we went through a whole experience of recounting the year. things we wanted to keep in the year, things we wanted to release. At the end of the seminar, we all hugged and kissed. It was midnight. We met back on the beach in San Diego. There was one place where you can actually watch the sunrise on the beach down in Coronado Beach. And we were there as the sun was rising. We built a big bonfire. There's probably only about 10 or 12 of us at that point. We were supposed to hold this smudge stick up to the rising sun and read what we had planned for the next year, and then throw away the old stuff in the fire. So the leader gets up there and he holds the stick up and he starts to read his stuff. He says, wait a minute. He says, I'm being told that Steve needs to go first. And I'm over here hiding in the smoke, right? So there's always one area where the smoke is. So I'm hiding over, and he pulls me over. And I say, okay, I can, a couple minutes, I'll be done with this. I hold this thing up, I hold my paper up, and I can't read a thing. My eyes started blurring, my tears started flowing down my face. I became aware that my face was, my shirt was getting wet. The people around the fire were all holding their hands up to me to send me energy. I didn't know that at the time. I was fairly ignorant about these things, but they were really trying to comfort me and send me energy. And that's when the group, it came into me. From that moment on, still have a hard time talking about it. From that moment on, my life changed. Everything changed in my life. Very shortly after that, I closed my business. When you're a contractor, you bid jobs and you get a certain amount and then you don't. I kept missing them and missing them and missing them and missing them. It was pretty obvious we were just going to close the business. And I think that was guided. And I started writing. I started writing on the internet in a chat room. And people really liked what it was going. And I started calling it the group because it was obvious it wasn't me. And that's turned into a book that turned into monthly channels that I have continued for 30 years. They've been published in the Sedona Journal for 21 years already. It's been an interesting journey for me. And I've been invited to speak at the United Nations 5 different times. It's been just a joy, just a joy.
Can you take us through First Contact?
Sure. First Contact was simple. It was that night. It was the tears. It was the connection with them and knowing that there was this group of, I called them angels at the time, and they've since said that they're actually from the angelic realm. But again, they don't want us to worry about names. But at that point, I knew something had changed in my life. Now, we just went home after that. We went to bed. We thought everything was the same. But very shortly after that, I started really getting involved with bringing this information down and writing information that people could use to better their lives. I was a contractor. I built stores and commercial buildings. I was not into psychology. And yet my whole focus of my life changed very quickly. And all this information started coming out. Eventually, we wrote Spiritual Psychology, which was one of my most famous books. And we've just re-released it. About the 12 primary life lessons, a way for you to look at your own life and to kind of categorize some things from the perspective of the group. And that's what they love to do. They love to give us, not to tell us what's right or wrong or which way to turn, but to give us different options, give us different perspectives. So
You're
that's
muted,
kind of.
Graham.
I'm sorry.
How did you learn to trust the channeling? Like, you hear a lot of stuff about, you be careful making contact because you don't know who you're making contact with and all that stuff. So how did you go through that process?
I had a very good teacher. I had a really good teacher one time who basically helped me with that quite a bit. It was an interesting thing. She happened to be with me at one of the early channels that I was doing when we were starting to gain some notoriety. There was probably 30 people in the room. That was a big opportunity for me in the beginning. 30 people was a big deal. So anyway, she's with me and somebody comes up to me and says, I foresee the future and I see that you're going to get very famous. And I also see that you're going to be attacked. So I want to give you a piece of stone that you can carry with you and it can ward off all the attacks. And I said, cool. It was a piece of hematite, really heavy, metal kind of rock. So I really loved it. I put it in my pocket. My friend, my teacher, said, lose that rock as fast as you can. And I go, I don't understand. I really like the rock. It's supposed to help ward off this. She says, you don't understand. You're a conscious creator. If you're taking something to actually ward off energy, you're going to draw that energy to you. Plain and simple. And it made perfect sense. So working with her and being able to listen to the messages from the group and the way that they word things, because they're not interested in taking people's power. The whole word Espavo, which is the name of our organization, is a story that they told about Lemuria and some of the energies around that. It used to be a greeting like hello and goodbye and aloha and things of that nature. And it simply meant thank you for taking your power. That's their whole process, is to try and give us stuff to empower us. Now, yes, I had my questions. I wanted to know who they were. My friends in this chat room are channeling Baiwamas from the 23rd century. I had no, I had no clue who these people were, what dimensions they were. So I asked the group, and they basically said, we're not going to give you names because we want you to judge it from the love content instead of the rest. So I called them the group, and people resonated with that. They very quickly got over who are they, where are they from, because they felt the connection. And I think that was the most important part. And that's what I did. At one point early on, I asked him a question because you have clairvoyance, you have clairaudience, you have clairsentience, and you have people like me who are claircognizant. All of a sudden, I know something. That's what it is. It's almost like they drop it in back here. They don't even tell me it's coming sometimes, but they drop it in back here, and all of a sudden I know something. Well, that's very hard to validate sometimes. You can't go back to a vision that you had or words that you were hearing or something of that nature. So it's a little challenging sometimes to be able to validate it. And I asked him in the beginning, I said, am I making this up? It feels to me like I'm making this up. They said, yes, you are. Please continue. Yeah. Well, what they were saying is, again, as long as you're bringing something through, and my wife she was the perfect one because she was my greatest critic. And she became very aware that I was bringing through information that I did not have. It was well beyond me. So she got on board very quickly. She considered herself to be a recovering Catholic. So when her husband, who was a contractor, started channeling, all of a sudden, it was a little spooky for her too. She got a little freaked out.
Did any of the lessons change in the newer releases? Like, did you redo any of the lessons at all, or?
There's one particular lesson that's at the very end. It's grace. It's the final lesson. We described it in such a way that basically said very few people on planet Earth are dealing with grace because it's such a difficult, challenging life lesson. Now, everybody is dealing with grace. That's one of the aspects that almost everybody can look at in some way. So we left the book the same so that it would read the same, but we put some extra words in to explain what was happening now and the different energies around that. Because there are times when entire societies go through a life lesson. We've been going through a life lesson of truth. I mean, look at the internet. You're dealing with it here yourself. You're a source of truth because we need them. Yeah, we have the reality is that with our internet, with our and I'm big in technology, so I love this stuff. But the reality is that lies and different scary things will travel 7 times farther and faster on the internet than the truth does. So it makes it a little difficult sometimes to even do the work that you guys are doing and try to offer different things. You have to package it in certain ways to get it through. But I've been watching your site. Great job. Great job.
Darren, do you want to talk about the lessons, or do you want to get into some of the lessons?
Before we get into that, I was just wondering what that transition was like. I mean, it's got to be weird. You're closing down the company. You don't know where the money's going to come from. You're writing,
absolutely,
but you have no idea that this is going to turn into a book or any income at that time. So I wouldn't mind just understanding what that transition was like. Were you freaking out, or were they sort of letting you know it was going to be okay? Like, what did that feel like?
I was absolutely freaking out. My wife was not so bad. She worked, so at least she would have some income coming in during that time, so we weren't panicking. But at the same time, the majority of the income was coming from my job and from my work. We had a small contracting company. It was like 7 people. There were times where we had to lay people off because we didn't have enough work. So they knew this was kind of the business. We ended up closing it entirely. And I didn't really know what I was going to do, but I couldn't stay away from that computer. I just couldn't. I had something I had to say. And I didn't really even realize that I was channeling in the beginning. But in the beginning, you want to know about the very essence of it, the very beginning, I would sit there and I would type these things and I would try not to read them because I didn't want to take my time correcting them. And on top of that, when I read them, I would cry more. I had so many tears in the beginning. It was like I had to clear all this stuff in order to get this energy through. So that was difficult. Then taking that and turning it into live channeling in front of people, I had no clue that I would ever do that. But somebody asked me to come up to speak to their spiritual group. They were going to pay my way up there. It was a group up in Montreal, Canada. I love Montreal. I love I've done a lot of work in Canada. So anyway, I went up to Canada, got to spend a little time up there and showing around. And I did this seminar, small seminar, again, probably about 30 people, friends of this lady, people that work with this lady. So they were kind of her group. So I'm here talking about the group and handing out literature and stuff. They said, no, we want you to channel live. So that was the first time that I channeled live. And I was panicking. I absolutely was panicking. I didn't know if I could do it. I didn't know if I could do it without crying because the tears seemed to be part of the ritual. I didn't want to be embarrassed. I didn't want, I told them before, I said, when I'm talking to the group, I said, the greatest fear that I have is that I will get in front of a group of people and you won't be there. I'll announce you, I'll sit down to channel and you won't be there. And they said, we can't obviously guarantee anything, but we've been with you for lifetimes. Trust us. Let us give you this suggestion. And they said, we're going to give you some words to use. He said, you give those words, you speak those words when you sit down to channel, and we'll take over from there. The words are greetings from home. I start every channel with greetings from home. And then they come in and take over the channel. That sounds very smooth. It doesn't sound any different. But if I ever get panicked about, what are we going to say or how are we going to reach this group or, all the different crazy things that we can worry about, I just go back to that. That's all I need is greetings from home. And it works.
Does that imply that this isn't home?
It does. They call home what we would term is heaven. They basically say when we are not here, we're all connected. We're all a part of each other. And that's what they call home. Yeah.
Is that what your one of your latest books, Crossing the Veil, is about then?
That's exactly what it's about. That's exactly what it's about. What happens to us before we're born? We know we're a spirit. It's very difficult to describe the other side of the veil. We attempt it in the book, but it's very challenging because on the other side of the veil, there's no time. Well, that throws a kink in everything. If you really try to talk something about without using time references, it's crazy. It's very difficult to do. So it's very challenging to know what complete unity, where you are a part of everything and everybody is a part of you. And you have these parts of you that you love. You love to see these different parts like old friends that keep circulating around. When you come in, you make contracts. You sit around what we call the big table. You bring all your friends that you want to interact with, and you ask this person over here, we're going to be in the same school when we're grade school, when we're in junior high. Would you be my first girlfriend? Would you do that for me? And then you come over here and you say, okay, and would you be my best friend in high school? We'll be buddies and we'll do. And at a certain point, will you steal my girlfriend so that I can learn this lesson of trust? And we basically set all these contracts up, good, bad, indifferent. We're trying to complete energy. It's not about trying to accomplish something. It's not about trying to earn enough money or make things easy. It's about learning something as a spirit. And that's what the spiritual psychology is all about. Crossing the veil is about what happens to us before all that process, going through multidimensionality to get here, and how we express in multidimensional nature. And then what happens to us as we die, which is really an incredibly beautiful story. If you ever, everybody's going to experience death, whether it's their parents or friends, everybody's going to experience it. We should be teaching this stuff in grade school. We really should. Everybody's going to experience it. There's so much fear about it. There's so much miscommunication about death and so forth. If we can make a person's last breaths easier, it makes their crossing into the other world easier.
Well, it also gives life more meaning too, doesn't it?
Exactly. I mean, exactly. That's when we ground. All the experiences we have in our life are grounded when we go home. They're all grounded and they're brought together in a very unique way. And that's really special.
So did some of the ancient wisdom traditions get this right before? Like, is this something that we've known for many thousands of years?
Over and over and over again. The group says, the Aboriginals had it. Whether you're talking about the Aboriginals and the Aborigines, whether you're talking about the Native Americans, whether you're talking about all the original tribes knew what they were doing when they were worshiping the sun, when they were working with the different parts of nature. They had much more of a connection with the earth than we do. We've moved into this age where we ended the Holocene basically. We had this 10,000 year period of 1 degree change where we were able to evolve quite a bit, but then we ended that with the Industrial Revolution and all the different things that happened. So it happened very quickly. But all of these things are just part of where we're at right now. So anyway, a lot of excitement with all that.
So you went from that to lecturing at the UN or channeling for the UN, I guess. I mean,
channeling.
What was that like? And do you I don't know how to ask this without, I don't want to be confrontational or anything like that, but there's a lot of conspiracies about the UN, how they're trying to bring in a one world religion, which in some ways kind of makes sense if it's, I guess, one of compassion and love and all that kind of stuff. But so I kind of get it from a new age perspective, but I don't think it's going over very well with the Christians probably and the atheists and all that. So what was that experience like? And what about these theories about UN bringing in a one world religion to the whole planet?
Well, there are ideas that have created through the UN, but please understand the UN is a huge organization. There's not one thought train in the UN. Now, having said that, I can also tell you that we were not involved directly with the United Nations. We were not asked to speak in the big room, as they say.
In their meditation room in there? You weren't?
The meditation room was too small. They have other rooms that in New York you're talking about. The one with the Chagall painting out front. Yeah. Anyway, in New York there's a meditation room, and it was much too small for what we did. We brought in about 75, 100 people. They packed the place, and I did a channel. That's all I did. But these were not people that were directing us. They didn't tell us what they wanted. What it was an organization that allowed the members of the United Nations to come and experience speakers. Some of these speakers were simply speakers like Wayne Dwyer, or people that wanted to offer you something or give you some suggestions in different ways. I believe, the first channel, or not the first channel, but probably the second or third channel. I think Lee Carroll was probably the first channel with Cryon. And we got invited by the people that actually invited him in New York. In Vienna, I went 3 different times, and there was no connection. They didn't know it. They read my books, and they contacted us. And that was unbelievable. I'm sitting at my desk one day talking to somebody, and I hang up the phone. I said, "Honey, we've just been asked. We were just saying if we're ever going to be in Vienna, that we can come to the United Nations there. Isn't that nice? And 20 minutes later, the phone rings and somebody asks to host us in Vienna.
Nice.
And we said, oh my God, this is, we have to write a book just about what's happening to us. It's unbelievable. So that's what happened. And we went there, scary. It was a small group of people the first time, I think 20, 30 people. Small group of people. Like I said, there were people from the atomic energy agencies that wanted to ask specific, difficult questions to the group, which they did.
Wow.
I don't know if they got the answer they were looking for. I couldn't tell you. I didn't get to speak to them afterwards. They left. But there was a group from the Atomic Energy Agency. There was a group from UNICEF. There's a group from different people that wanted to be there. There were several people that were delegates because the main delegate place had just let out. So a lot of them came over and watched the thing too. So anyway, it was kind of an extra thing. It wasn't published by the United Nations. It wasn't directed by the United Nations. We never dealt with the United Nations organization other than to go in and do these channels on that facility. It was magical.
Wow. Darren, do you got any questions? Darren?
Is there any, I'm going to kind of cross the streams here, but is there any home heaven? I mean, we get a lot of people, a lot of channelers talking about the Pleiades. Does that come into it at all?
Well, the Pleiades is actually on this side of the veil. So we have everything we're just going to say infinity, and then we have finiteness. Well, the Pleiades it's a star series. So it's an entire group of stars that are just very magical, and you have beings that are channeling entities and energy from there that travel through here. The group doesn't actually say that they are traveling that distance. They actually call them EDs instead of ETs. They say they're actually extra dimensional because they know how to shift their vibration a little bit to shift dimension and be able to show up. But they are from Pleiades. There's ones from Sirius. There's over 140 different races of beings on this planet. And we only know really about the ones that walk with 2 legs and 2 arms and a head. So we know very little about it. There's a lot of information here with ETs and visitors, and what the group even calls parental races of beings that are here, many of which are working with planet Earth right now to try and correct some of those challenges in that direction. So anyway, they've talked a lot about that.
There seems to be a more of a general acceptance to this interdimensionality, and I mean, even the government's talking about portholes and
Yep.
portals and Skinwalker Ranch type stuff. I mean, all this activity that you mentioned, the walk-ins, that's now just like a phrase that the government uses. Like everybody knows what it means now.
Exactly.
And the whole ET thing. I mean, even this whole spaceship, this Atlas 3 coming. I mean, it's unbelievable how much over the last few years is now just being openly discussed.
The government used to own Skinwalker Ranch. That's exactly correct. Yeah. They actually bought it for a while. Yeah, absolutely amazing, some of these things that are now taking place. And it's happening very quickly. If we look backwards, for all of us, it seems to be so slow. Come on, we all know this. Let's talk about it. Let's discuss it. Let's bring it up. But and then there's the scientific aspect of the people that want proof. They want some sort of proof that we're not going to be able to provide right away, or they want a dead body or something that hasn't been confiscated by our government. We're being kept in the dark on purpose.
Is there any sort of relation, like, or commentary on what the group says about or the current state of government, that if nothing else, we figured out over the last, half decade to a decade seems to be a world government already, or at least they're talking to each other?
It's moving in that direction. There's a lot of challenges that are going on right now. One of the things they actually said reflects in our government that we haven't really seen is what's taking place on a global basis, not just with us, but on a global basis. The feminine energy is rising. Excuse me, I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
I do apologize. The feminine energy on planet Earth is rising. as it comes up, the masculine energy is grabbing hold of everything it can grab hold of, trying to grasp everything to hold it in place, trying to control everything, trying to bring everything into control. So they move much into the force, the control of the masculine energy as the feminine's rising. It doesn't stop the feminine from rising, but we start to see all this chaos, and we start to see a lot of different things take place, including what's happening in Russia, including what's happening in Ukraine and Israel. So forth. I'm sorry?
Is this cyclical? I mean, because the other thing we see is that there's clear evidence that this isn't the first go around.
That's correct. It is cyclical. Almost everything runs in cycles, at least to some degree. We have the opportunity on those cycles to change things, to alter the energy. If we do, it shifts. It kind of fades from view. It goes out of favor, so to speak. But as long as we're dealing with it, we'll keep it in. We'll keep putting energy into these things, and they keep circulating.
Do they give any illusion as to what happened the last go around to the people that made the pyramids and all this other great stuff?
Yeah, we had a lot of help. It's real simple. It's no secret. I mean, von Däniken had it correct. We've seen a lot of people that we still don't know how the pyramids were built. We have all this evidence that the rocks were actually moved. We've seen the canoes. We've seen where the workers stayed. We've seen all this evidence and different things, but we've never seen anything that would suggest that this could actually be done, even in that long period of hundreds of years.
And they don't seem interested in finding out either.
They don't. The other parts are the interesting things that happen, particularly in Peru. Down in Peru, there are different walls that have been built there and they've dated them past the 12,000 years BC. So that means they're past the Younger Dryas. So we know that they were there for a very long time, but they are so tightly fit together. There is no way you could do this. That culture, that Aboriginal culture down there, the Indian culture that they have, has stories about a grand lady who used to raise these rocks up with energy, heat them up until they melted, and then she put them together. Well, that actually makes sense. Those are things that actually took place, but we don't understand it because we don't know about anti-gravity. We still haven't figured out this whole thing called dark energy. The group calls it universal energy. Science says it makes up 78% of our universe, but we know nothing about it. We can't measure it. We can't. Tesla knew it. That's the energy he was working with. This energy which is everywhere. He was bringing it in, grounding it in different ways, but he wasn't taken seriously.
Well, he is now, it seems. So
yes, it is.
Are we in the age of disclosure then? Is it happening? Is it?
It is.
No?
It is absolutely
noting that Trump's uncle stole his books.
Did he?
I don't know if he stole them, but yeah, Donald Trump's uncle was, I can't remember what his title was, but he was the dude
FBI, I think,
who ended up with Tesla's journals when they
really
were in the apartment. Yeah,
they were taken originally from by the FBI.
Yeah. So it might have been.
Died.
I think he was working through the FBI, but there's this crazy connection that it was actually one of Trump's uncles that was the guy that ended up with this paper.
That makes sense. Of course, understanding it is different.
Yeah.
We still don't understand the 369. And those are, there's some very basic things. We did a whole seminar on something we called triality, which is basically Tesla's 369 energies, how he used them, what the group had to say about all that. We did a 2-day seminar on that. Very interesting, fascinating things that he knew that we still can't figure out. He even told us the secrets, and we still can't quite figure out how to use them. So we'll get there, though. We will. And as far as disclosure, you've had Area 51 for a long time. They've been denying Area 50, not very far from where I'm at right now. The reality is they've been successfully denying things over and over and over again. We humans have a frailty. One of those frailties is repetition. When we hear things over and over and over and over again, we actually start to believe it. And that has worked for the government up to a point. It's not going to work much longer. There's too much energy out here. And furthermore, I don't want to speak for all the races of ETs that are here because there's, like I said, there's 141 of them at last count from the group. So there's a lot of different things here. But for the most part, they're here to help us. They don't want to take us over. They've got other things to do sometimes. So they want to see us succeed. They want to see us heal this earth. They want to see us in different ways. They don't always agree about how to do that. So it's kind of confusing sometimes, but there's a lot of energy that's coming through right now as a result of all these things. And I do believe that they want disclosure. And
what about some of the ones through the lore that weren't so great? Like, do they still exist? I'm thinking the Archons or Reptilians. There might have been one more in there, the Dracos or something like that. I'm not the alien guy. Graham might be able to speak to it a little better, but there seems to be a couple that have been assholes throughout.
That's correct. That's correct. That's absolutely correct. So if you talk about Syrians, if you talk about Palladians, if you talk about Arcturians, the reality is that's like talking about Earth. We have some real assholes here, but we also have a lot of good people. So we're going to have factions of different things that take place. One of the factions very early on in one of our primary parental races took us over. The group actually said those are the stories of the Garden of Eden. We weren't supposed to leave the garden. Well, thank God Eve bit the apple and didn't, because now we broke out of there. But the group actually says that was captivity by some of our earlier races that were trying things. And it was a faction. It was a small faction of one of the energies. And the reality is the rest of that planet came and helped to free us and made them leave us alone, basically. So I do believe that the general part, I mean, if these beings had the energy to be able to travel these distances, whether that's actually traveling the distances or interdimensional or whatever, they certainly have the technology to take us over. They're not doing that. They're not interested in that. They do want us to know they're here. That's why we saw things like the Phoenix lights and so forth, the things that just wouldn't go away. They tried to chase them down. They tried to scare them off, and they'll just sit there. Fascinating stuff. And I do believe that's the case. I do believe that we're seeing many of these races of beings, some of which are harsher than others. Absolutely. Reptilian is one of our parental races, actually, one of our 6 parental races, according to the group, that gives us that energy, that harsh energy, that forceful energy sometimes. Hopefully we tame it down and blend it with everything else. But yeah, there's different energies from different groups. It's going to be fascinating. The next 20 years are going to be, well, the group says we're entering a time of no more secrets. Now that not only means no more secrets from our government, but I mean, passwords are going to be difficult to deal with in the future with technologies growing the way that they're going too. So it's going to be a wild time.
It kind of lines up with, no matter what side of the spectrum you're on, everyone agrees that there's some sort of awakening going on right now. You know, it's kind of hard to deny that there's crazy truths coming out that some of us have maybe thought for a while, or yep. You know, the conspiracy theorists seem to be up right now, if anyone's keeping score. I'm not. Correct. But can we start to dig into the 12 soul lessons a little bit on what they're all about?
Sure. I'll give you they're very basic things, actually. So they're general things: acceptance, adaptation, different aspects of working with life, truth, trust, different basic things that you work with. Probably one of the most popular ones that your listeners will be working with is definition. And it's probably a little more popular with women than men, although men can certainly have it. Definition is when somebody comes in and they're born with very big energy and very weak boundaries. Well, what they do is they end up drawing in master manipulators. Mom, dad, somebody else is going to be a manipulator. They'll abuse them, or they'll cover them up and control them in some way. They'll grow up, they'll marry a master manipulator, they'll work for one, they'll end up in those things until they learn how to say no with love in their heart and a smile on their face. And that is a huge life lesson that many women, as well as men, but mostly women, are working with right now on the planet, especially in what we call the light. People that are looking for this next level, that are stepping into this higher energy. Absolutely. Men, the most common lesson right at this moment is communication. We have a tendency, when things get rough with emotions, to stick our heads in the sand. That was my life lesson before I wrote the book, before they kicked me in the face with my own life lesson. But basically, that was it. It's a common life lesson amongst men to be able to speak from the heart. We tend to want to think we hear what we're saying. In other words, we think we want to put a message across and know exactly what they're hearing instead of actually speaking from our heart. And that's a huge life lesson that men are working with. There's 12 of them. You generally don't work with all 12 life lessons. You generally only work between 8 and 10 of them. And then you're done with planet Earth. There's something else waiting in somewhere. They've never talked about it. I don't know. But you basically graduate planet Earth. You become a last timer. You come here for one more go around if you so choose. You usually put a lot on your plate during that one, and you end up leaving after that point. You become very bored because things get boring. Things get easy. Yeah, basically. So that's kind of the attributes of the life lessons in general. There's a lot to that because it talks about, the different aspects of how we make these contracts, how this works. It talks, the book talks a lot about the contracts we make, the contracts that we can do, how we can revise the contracts, how we can make conscious contracts while we're here. There's a lot of different aspects to this besides just the 12 primary life lessons. It's the whole process of life. So this particular book, Spiritual Psychology, covers the birth process all the way from the last moments of death. The other book picks up the other part. The other book, Crossing the Veil, picks up what happens to you before you come in and what happens to you as you step out of the body. So it kind of, between Crossing the Veil and Spiritual Psychology, they kind of cover the whole gambit, according to the group, of what we do as a spirit.
Is there a getting stuck in limbo? Like some of the ancient traditions say that there's soul rescue programs, even that the Monroe Institute has. Like, is there any advice for people so that they make it through to the next level without getting stuck?
There's a lot of things you can do. First of all, is wisdom is number one, to search out ideas and search out connections. When you hear something that resonates, you hear it. And that's your guides. That's your spirit or your channel on your own shoulder. See, I believe everybody channels. I believe we call it different things. Basically, I'm focused in one area, but other people focus in different areas, and they get information all the time. I believe we all do that. We just call it, like I said, we have different names for it in different areas. Now, what was the question again? I'm sorry.
About getting stuck in limbo.
Getting stuck, yeah.
Yeah, the soul rescue type thing.
There are times, there are traumas that can fracture a spirit. Can basically, the way we look at that is that there's a fractured spirit. We have to put it back together. We have to heal it. We have to bring it back together. It is a trauma. It can be an energy trauma. It can be a physical trauma. It can be something we experience as PTSD. There can be a lot of things that can actually fracture that part. But the way to think about it is that you never lose it. It's always there. It's just not together. So there are processes that people can use to put themselves back together, to find those pieces and to heal that process. Right now, there's a huge amount of success with psychedelics on trauma. It is absolutely doing things that the people did expect it because they were working with it in the 60s. They were having huge success with it in the 1960s before we had a jerk president put it on the number one, the number one drug list.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, don't get me into politics. But basically, there's a lot there that are healing in the way of traumas. But that is a way of thinking of these traumas because they do tend to fracture things. It's almost as if a person starts hiding a part of themselves because they're afraid of getting hurt again, or they're afraid of experiencing that trauma. So that's the way that I perceive it, is that they have basically, you're only going to see a piece of them because they're not going to show you their whole self. And that is a fracturing of a spirit. Now, are there things that you can do? Yeah, there's talk therapy. There's energetics. There's, like I said, there's psychedelics now. There's psychedelic psychology is taking off. So I'm hoping that'll get popular again. They're starting to legalize it throughout different parts of the world, but not here yet. We'll get there.
What about getting stuck on your way to the other side of the veil?
All of that is possible, entirely possible. Before you come in here, you generally make a contract with another spirit to come and get you. We call them the greeter.
Wow.
This could be Uncle Harry that that was going to die before you did. This could be somebody that you didn't know, but you knew from a previous lifetime. It doesn't make any difference. It was somebody you trust, and they will basically appear above your bed while you're getting out of your body to help you out. So that is one of the things. Then they take you to what we call the tunnel. It's been labeled in the Bible as the valley of the shadow of death. Basically, you have to go through there yourself. Nobody can guide you through that. We can take you to the edge and share with it, but you walk through that and then you're home. And then you are integrated. It happens very fast. It's very exciting. So anyway, there's a lot to that takes place, but there is a process around those things. And these are stories that the group basically tells they talk about the big table of making contract. There's really no table, but they give us these stories so that we can understand how these things work.
Yeah.
That's how they tell things. Yeah.
What is how does AI factor into this? What's its sort of role? Because it's going to have the same sort of thing as the internet, right? The internet sort of brought in all these new, at the time, it just seemed like, this new freedom thing, but tie that into cell phones and banking and tracking and data and everything else. And while it allowed us to have this awakening and do things that wouldn't have been possible 40 or 50 years prior, I'd be stuck on the end of a shovel someplace still.
Yeah.
I kind of view AI as the same sort of thing. It's just going to be a different tool, but I'm just sort of what does the group think of this new entity slipping in?
They're very excited about it. There is a lot of fear about it. There are some negative things about it that are going to have to be adjusted, obviously, but they're small. They're small compared to the fear that's here. It is going to change our lives. The same way that the internet did, the same way that that robotics did. Robotics has changed the way we do everything manufacturing. So these technological things are huge. Right now, we're on the verge of two major changes that are going to shift our lives in ways that we cannot imagine. AI is one of them. We're all very familiar with it now. But quantum computing is the other one, and it's coming fast and hard. There's, I don't know how many quantum computers on the planet now. They are getting smaller. They're actually very big, but the computer itself is tiny, but it creates so much heat. They have to do all this stuff to get it to be superconductor stuff. That is changing. They're evolving these things very quickly. But that's going to change everything. If you can imagine, just with the data that is known about you right now, public data on the internet, a quantum computer can figure out your passwords in a heartbeat, all of them. They'll even tell you which site you probably went to. The unbelievable speed, unbelievable quantum computing power is about to be released. It's very small right now because there's a very limited number of them, but eventually these will be in people's homes. that will change our lives in ways that, just like the internet did, just like the computer did.
At what point can they communicate through that to the masses? Are they already doing that to some level? Because you can see the overlords are trying to stop that, just like they did with the internet. Or they're
Yeah.
I mean, the internet, they were kind of asleep at the wheel, but the last 5 years we've seen them really ramp it up, right? It's like, no, you can't say that here, period.
Right.
And the AI is doing that now too, right? Like, but you can, in some instances, flip it. Like, because I'll get into it where I'm like, nah, man, that's fucking wrong, and I've got
Right.
20 minutes free right now, and I'm going to tell you why, and I'm going to and it'll get to the point where it's like, yeah, you're right. That because of this, and this, we don't talk about that. But to the average user, they're not going to push back on that. You know what I mean?
That's correct.
It's like
That's correct.
The third page of Google. Before they got Google to the point where they could just erase all the stuff they didn't want you to find, they just pushed that shit to page 7, page 8, page 9, and 95% of people never get past the first page. So it kind of works that way.
That's correct. No, we definitely have been absolutely controlled in different ways, attempted at controlling in different ways. In many ways, the new technologies are going to help us supersede that. They're going to help us reveal that and block it, because the technologies are not limited to our governments, to some of the other areas that they have been limited to in the past. Much of our technology, much of the technologies that's in use today started in our War Department. So, a lot of things started as a war toy, and now we end up using it as a cell phone or something. So literally, we see this evolution going on in a lot of different ways, but we also start to reveal it. And that's the most important part. We have the internet. We have ways of communicating. We have levels of communication which are spreading out. Easy way to talk about it is a channel. You draw a certain amount and certain type of person that's interested in these things. Other people have different types of channels. And yet we have the capability now of collecting information from all of these channels. That's new. This was never there before. So these are incredible things that AI can actually help us with in the very beginning, collecting this data, being able to use this stuff. Being able to reflect ourselves in a different way. It's absolutely amazing. A little scary, absolutely. But nonetheless, one of my students asked ChatGTP what the group would say about XYZ. And they came back with an incredible answer, I must say. It was, and of course, what they did was they go to my site because they know the group, they know steverother.org, and they go to the site, they collect all this information, they put it back together. Absolutely scary, because it's our information. We can feel it, we can feel it some way, but it is just collecting pieces. Now, thinking for themselves, becoming actual personalities, we're still quite a ways down the road from that. We really are. That is not something that's going to happen right away. They will emulate it. They'll learn your name.
Do you think it's possible to recreate God's work?
I do, in a different way. I believe we also had this same challenge in Atlantis. I believe that in Atlantis, we went in a different direction. We learned how to clone people. We learned how to raise people and bring people into our societies that we wanted to do the work that we didn't want to do. So we raised a group of beings that were told to do certain things, and we made the same mistakes that some of our parental races did. Didn't work. They evolved anyway. I do believe that will eventually take place, but I do believe we're quite a ways away from it. And I also believe it'll be in harmony.
So I have a question for you. It's kind of similar to how AI is programmed to toe the narrative, like Rob is saying in the chat. So that's a interesting challenge that we have. But also, how do you discern propaganda from free thought on this type of thing? So let me give you an example. So I had a PR company came to us. They wanted to have they wanted us to have a guest on that, there's a book that's channeling all these famous people. And when I started looking at what the book was all about, it's like all these famous people basically saying that, it's our fault and it's climate change and it's like we're causing climate change and all. It just felt like a propaganda book to me, sold based on what famous people were channeling, So how do you discern, especially stuff about climate change and all that from the group that you're channeling?
Discernment is the key. That's the piece. It has to resonate in your own heart. You have to resonate with the message, or you're wasting your time. You literally cannot get much from that. If you did not resonate with what was being said with that, put it down. Go to something else.
Right.
The group suggests that we don't call it good or bad, because when we call something bad, we attach ourselves to it in some way. So maybe it's best to just say, that's not for me. I don't resonate with that right now.
Yeah.
And with the internet, with the explosion of our technology, with our cell phones, with WhatsApp, with all these things that are taking off, we have ways of communicating we've never had before. So propaganda is everywhere. And some of the kings of propaganda are still everywhere, still doing exactly what they've always been doing. So, yeah, we're seeing that being used over and over again.
Yeah, it must be hard even to craft your message, because you're kind of downloading this, or you're kind of getting this from the group, but some stuff has been so the definitions have been so politicized. Like, I mean, I'm not saying that humans aren't causing some sort of climate change too, but it's the way that it's all like climate change has been now, just like basically said what it means is it means that it's us causing it and not corporations, and not, we shouldn't be looking for asteroids that are going to smash us to bits. We should be worried about paying our government more taxes to get rid of all, it's like, that's kind of where it's gotten. So you must have to adjust some of your message depending on the current state of propaganda, I guess.
That is true. Sometimes there are words that I use that are taken and used in different ways, and I have to start using different words. That is correct. Yeah. Steve is the translator. I am the one that's responsible for the English language. That is correct. Yeah. So yes, I have to come up with the words, and sometimes I do have to change them. Sometimes I do have to evolve that. It's sad. It's exciting at the same time.
Right.
It's really difficult because we see people really get involved with their story. Yeah. We all live by our stories. We all have our ideas of who we are and what we're going to do every day and everything else. But when you're so wrapped up in it that you don't make room for other truths, you're really locked into something else. And we've seen a lot of that happen with this explosion of technology.
Exactly.
I do believe that humanity will adjust. I do. I think it'll take some years, but I do believe we'll adjust to it.
What kind of time frame are we talking about for what you said? An awesome phrase that they gave you. The secrets. I wrote it down here. The time of no more secrets. So, what does that look like for a time frame? Like, are we talking 5 to 10 years?
I think we're stepping into it. I think we're starting to get into that energy now. This is part of the reason that the government is having more difficulty holding the secrets of the UFOs that they've been dealing with for years and years and years. We've even had people from the government tell us all about it. Bob Lazarus. We've had people tell us exactly what's going on. And yet, since we can't actually take a visit through there and see what we're doing, I don't know what it's going to take. But we're starting to understand that it takes place. It happens. We're starting to get that information, whether we have that proof or not. And all of that is happening very quickly. As far as time frame, 2028 will be very exciting. 2030 will be even more exciting. We are starting to step into what the group calls the fifth dimension, living in a higher reality. It doesn't mean that things are going to solve. It means that we're going to step into a higher reality where much of this junk that goes on doesn't matter. It doesn't actually exist in the higher reality. It's a higher state of mind. There's a lot to that. We work with that every day, but the reality is it's here now. The group says we live so long in the third dimension, we wake up every morning and we create the third dimension inside the fifth dimension. So we're learning to anchor little bits of that, little pieces of this, little truths. A lot of the work that you're doing, a lot of the stuff that we see on your website, these are perfect little ways to get a variety of different subjects and different energies and different wisdom to come through. So in some ways, it's a very, like I said, it's a very exciting time to be here.
Yeah, totally.
Is there a force pushing back against that? Because it's like 2030 is
Yes.
important to the elites too, right? They're trying to get us in total carbon lockdowns, and you don't leave your neighborhood unless we say, or you got your papers and stuff like that. And they've been talking about that date for a long time too. So it seems like too much of a coincidence for those.
No,
Why not?
it's not a coincidence. It's happening at the same time. You're absolutely right. The money. The group was asked about the elections back in 2016 or 2015. And they said basically the next several elections are going to be in the United States, are going to be about money versus the will of the people. And that's kind of what's taken place. The money
Yeah, you could argue the last like 40 elections.
That's true. That's absolutely true. And this kind of takeover that we've seen has actually been planned for about 40 years by the Heritage Foundation, different people that have been trying to do this for quite some time, get the Supreme Court in line, do all the different things that they've been able to do. And of course, the gerrymandering, all the different things that have happened now really have kind of skewed our democracy, so to speak. We'll get over it. I do think I have a very positive attitude about humans. I think we learn. I do think it takes time. I do think we beat our head against the wall a lot, but eventually I do think we'll learn how to take all this information, including all the conspiracy theories, all the propaganda, all the other stuff, just bring it in and go through it and pull out what we need rather than get stuck in all these dramas.
We're adaptable.
Yeah. What's your thought on that, just democracy in general? Because it seems like it makes a lot of sense on paper. I mean, but what it seems to have turned into more and more recently as the opposite sides get more and more polarized is majority rule. So it hasn't become this democratic thing where we're all sort of ruling ourselves. It's become basically, right versus left and fuck the rest of them.
Well, that is the challenge. It is absolutely polarized. It is absolutely polarized. There's no room for a third party to even emerge. So it's really, really challenging in that way. One of the things that I see personally, not from the group's perspective, but from me, is that we don't actually have a democracy. We don't, we have this crazy thing with the electoral college, and we have this crazy thing where each state just has their own election, and the whole state goes towards someone. This is not a majority rule thing. It never has been.
No, but they keep calling it a democracy. Like it's a constitutional republic. They call it a democracy. And in Canada, I mean, we don't have the same protections that you guys have there, and we just have one big party that doesn't listen to the people. So
that's right. That's right. You do.
So it seems like with those systems out of the way, just this idea of, I mean, my take on it is that this democracy thing was sort of the biggest hoodwink they ever pulled on us, because we would always get upset and storm the castle eventually. When shit got bad enough, the peasants would storm the castle, and then they came up with democracy. So it's not
where they could actually not storm the castle, right?
Because they voted for it. That my life sucks. It's Steve's fault, or it's Graham's fault, or it's the liberals' fault, or it's the conservatives' fault. I mean, they really managed to create this hydra with no head and turn us against each other and make us more controllable at the same time.
That's exactly right. That's exactly correct. It only works through the separation, and that has been absolutely a huge piece of it. We've separated so much that, one of the things you don't do here in the United States, we have Thanksgiving. You do not talk politics at Thanksgiving. You don't talk politics with your family is basically what it means. So yeah, and that's all new. That's all brand new, because we've been so incredibly divided with our belief system. So unbelievably worked with it. Again, I think that'll break down. I think that's been very successful. If you look at some of the technology that Cambridge Analytica was using before it broke apart, and if you think it broke apart and went away, you're wrong. It went underground. So this technology of being able to control people has been here and has been getting successful. I do believe that is why part of the reason that we are where we are at this moment and what has happened with it. Like I said, I think it's all flexible. And as far as the democracy itself, there's problems with democracy. People, just because people choose the leader, are they the best people to be choosing a leader? Really, so there's all sorts of problems with the whole
Like it would
idea
work
of
great in a tribe or something, right?
yeah,
Where
exactly. So
everybody kinda knows each other, and it's like, this guy should really be in charge.
yeah, exactly. So the reality is it's very difficult to really apply a majority rules anyway. There's gaps and difficulties with that. I'm hoping we can come up with something in between. I'm hoping we can come up with something new. Wouldn't that be wonderful if we all could pitch in some ideas of safeguards and things we could put into things where we could have people be in a position of power and not abuse it?
Yeah.
That would be wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe this is what's going to happen when this area of no secrets comes out.
I hope so.
And disclosure. I mean, really, because people have to wake up and start pushing back and get rid of the corruption. I mean, the systems aren't working. So
I hope so. I really do. I have good hopes for humanity. Yeah. I do. I do believe that down the road we're going to be doing fine. But we are moving. Yeah. We're moving so fast right now. It's hard.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Hard to keep our head above the water. So it's been fascinating.
Yeah.
Well, it's hard to make any real course corrections when you're doing 300 miles an hour too.
That's true. That's true. The group says the only way we can do it is to hold hands. And
there we go.
And that's hard. Even that's hard. But yes, that's the idea. Yeah.
Well, Steve, this has been great. We appreciate you coming. I'm not sure why it took 13 years to get you here, but we'll have to do it again before 13 more go by.
It's been an honor, guys. It's like you're part of the family. It's good to see you. Absolutely. And great work. I love your site.
Thanks. You too.
Thanks.
Where can people find your work?
People can find me at steverother.org. That is STEVEROTHER.org. We're a nonprofit, so we're a .org. Awesome. And you can find us there. There's all kinds of fun things you can sign up for.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Have a good day. Come back anytime.
We will. We'll see you again. Take care.
And that was a chat with Steve Rother, the 12 soul lessons we all came here to master. It seems crazy we did the show. The song didn't cross paths with this guy yet.
Yeah.
I think it was Gail Tor that hooked us up, one of the publicists through Inner Tradition. So thanks to her. But yeah, man, we keep finding people that it's like, how could we exist in the same ecosystems and not bump into each other? But maybe it is all starting to come together. We'll see. Big thanks to Steve for coming on the show. Big thanks to you guys for listening. Even bigger thanks if you're one of the few who choose to support us and keep us going over at grimerica.ca/support. Sign up for a monthly or make a one-time donation today if you're getting some value from the 730 episodes almost out there. And if you're not, then I don't know what you're still doing here. But if you are, support us. That's the only way we get support. You can also support us by getting our audiobooks at adultbrain.ca, checking out our other podcast, grimericaoutlawed.ca, contact@thecabin.com for trips and events, going to the Azores to look for Atlantis with Randall Carlson right away. If you want to get in on that, that'd be fun. Did I already do the audiobooks? Adultbrain.ca.
Yeah, the audiobooks.
AmericaCBD.com for gummies and tinctures. Not enough people picking that stuff up. So grab some. Check it out. That's all from True Hemp Science. I think that's about it for this week. You get some tallow. That supports us too. BigSkyTallow.ca. My wife makes it, so it's all good to go. Other than that, love you guys. Thanks for listening, and we will see you next week.
Somehow I built a rocket ship out of the stuff dreams are made and popsicle sticks. Please look at my rocket ship schematics. Tell me you can fly to the moon. Tell me I'm not a lunatic. but I need a vacation from all the sadness, the chaos, and dramatics. I'll let you do the countdown, 3, 2, 1, no hesitation. I bet